Hi, everybody. This is Pastor Sean Odom from Crosspoint Church in Weatherford, Oklahoma, with your God is Awesome and the Bible is Cool vlog. I actually have two focal passages for you today. The first one comes from the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. It's a familiar passage, but it reads as such. If I can get there. All right, here we go. 12, 1 and 2 reads it this way. It says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." So the first thing that we need to point out is this, that we are to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice. Now, one of the ways that we do that is through our ministry. Which leads me to the next passage, which comes from the book of Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4, starting in verse 7, reads like this. It says, "But to each one of us grace has been given as Christ apportioned it. This is why it says, when he ascended on high, he took many captives and gave gifts to his people." What does he ascended mean except that he also descended to the lower earthly regions? He who descended is the very one who ascended higher than all the heavens in order to fill the whole universe. So, Christ himself gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, and teachers to equip his people for works of service, so that the body of Christ may be built up until we reach unity in the faith and in the knowledge of the Son of God and became mature, attaining to the whole measure of the fullness of Christ. It goes on then to say that then we will no longer be infants, tossed back and forth by the waves and blown here and there by every wind of teaching and by the cunning and craftiness of people and their deceitful scheming. Instead, speaking truth in love, we will grow to become in every respect the mature body of him who is the head, that is, Christ. From him, the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work. How do these two things relate? Well, here's the deal. One of the ways that we offer ourselves as a living sacrifice is through the ministry we have, just like I said. The problem is many people think that ministry is solely for guys like me, pastors, missionaries, chaplains, etc. That is just a fallacy. It's just not true. Is what it is. The truth of the matter is that we all actually have a ministry. Why? Because we've all been given a gift. Now, you may not have what's known as vocational ministry, like making your living as a pastor, a missionary, or a chaplain, etc., like I do. But we were all called to minister in some way, shape, or form. You see, our ministry is to use the gifts that God has bestowed upon us. Ephesians chapter 4 tells us we have all been given gifts. In fact, verse 11 specifically says that God gave gifts to teachers, pastors, and evangelists. Now you might say, well, that's not me. I will say, well, yes, it is. Why? Because we have been given the commission to spread the gospel and take it into all the world. And this is not solely for the job of the pastor of the church or for the missionary or the chaplain, etc. We all have a duty to teach others about Jesus and disciple them. The key is why God gave us the gifts that he did. See, verse 12 tells us that these gifts were given to help train people, i.e. you and me, for works of service. That means ministry. And everyone who has received the grace of God has a role to play in this. And we use them together. And that's why this passage goes on to share why this ministry is important. It's important for the unity of faith, maturity, fullness. That's what verses 13 through 16 say. See, when we minister to others through using our gifts, we become closer to each other and closer to Christ. And then we are better able to evangelize and serve others. Then, as we do our jobs in this regard, others can come to Christ and we can train them up. And then they can go and disciple and bring more as well. That's how we grow. Ministry to the body of Christ is not a simple choice. It's not. But it's a responsibility that we have. One of the most important things that you can do as a Christian, and I want to encourage you to do this, is find what that gift is if you don't know it already. If you do know it, start to use it. If you don't know it, pray for the Spirit of God to reveal what that gift is, if you're unsure of what it is. And then choose specifically to find your opportunity to share the grace of God and use that gift that God has given you to do it. So that's my encouragement to you today, and I pray that all is well, and we hope to see you in church on Sunday. God bless. Bye-bye.